Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest hip-hop artists of all time, and it's not even a hot take at this point, but for those who don't know, I just wanted to take some time to show why people think this. And before getting into the video, I'm gonna do that thing where YouTubers ask for likes before the video starts, because that makes sense. Kendrick Lamar is a Compton-based rapper that first came into the scene in 2011 with his album Section 80. The album would receive massive critical success because a lot of people saw the potential that Kendrick Lamar had as the next hip-hop superstar. It focuses at times on the effects of something like the war on drugs, specifically how it impacted the people of the community and the kids of those people. This being illustrated in a song like ADHD,
12 bottles
or a song like Ronald Reagan era.
Welcome to Vigilante 80, so don't you ask me, I'm hungry, my body's.
It focuses on other things as well, like systemic racism on a track like High Power.
I mean, this shit is Huey Newton going stupid, you can't resist.
And in other songs, he just showcases his lyricism, like Rigor Mortis. So of course, a lot of people saw the potential on a young Kendrick Lamar, but because the label that he was on, TDE, not being the biggest, he wouldn't really have that much commercial success out of the album. However, he would impress the people so much that in 2012 he would get signed by Dre, which would instantly catapult his name to a point where it wasn't before. This would eventually lead into the making of the album that would make Kendrick a star, being Good Kid, Mad City.
Time I'm in the street, I hear
The album would knock it out of the park in terms of commercial success, and a sample of this being the lead single with swimming pools,
then somebody said to me, nigga, why you,
which was a really clever song, specifically because Kendrick Lamar managed to fool the mainstream audience into thinking this was a pro-party song. But it's clearly not the only song that people recognize from this album. A song like Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe was a popular song.
different axles. You live in a world.
In more recent years, a song like Money Trees has gained some traction.
You looking like an easy come up, yeah, bitch.
Although I feel like a lot of people that listen to the song miss the lyrical content of it. But of course, this album would have a lot of lyrically rich songs. The prime example of this being the song Sing About Me.
With just another distraction or a reaction of what we consider madness, I know exactly what happened.
Because in terms of storytelling, this might be a top 10 to top 5 storytelling song. And hey, I mean, it makes sense because this is an album that is a short film. There's no visuals to this album, of course, but those who listen to the story get rewarded. And after this album, Kendrick Lamar would go on a massive run of features. This the finale. I turned my pet top to a pet rally. He had a song on the Spider-Man soundtrack, the one with Andrew Garfield. He has a song with Robin Thicke, I think, and I'm pretty sure 2 Chainz is on it as well. He'd eventually pop up on Taylor Swift's Bad Blood.
I can't take it back. Look where I'm at.
But by far the most iconic of his features, in terms of hip-hop at least, is his verse on Control.
We usually homeboys with the same niggas I'm rhyming with, but this is hip-hop and them niggas should know what.
Where he managed to call out everybody in the rap game and everybody got pissed. It was the sense of adrenaline that the hip-hop game needed at the time. And as a result of all these features, Kendrick would become even a bigger superstar than he was before, which would lead to him dropping To Pimp a Butterfly. For reference to how good this album is considered one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time.
But a rapper with a ghost rider.
It's one of those times where being experimental pays off, and the political context of it all is pretty important.
Jumping on my dick, but this dick ain't free.
Unlike other rappers that might back off or might wait for the opportune time to get political, Kendrick Lamar was doing it when he needed to.
This dick ain't free.
And I think it's fair to say he didn't use the situation, he just did it because he wanted to, and it reflects. This really isn't someone saying BLM just because it's trendy. And I've said before on this channel that a song like All Right will live on forever. And I stand by it, especially with the potential hidden meaning that the song has. Because although a lot of people see it as this sign of hope, it can also be seen as a sign of hopelessness. And everybody that heard the album also heard this. The word instant classic is overused at times, but being so far removed from this album and it's still holding up and seeing the reviews from the first day that it dropped, it's clear to see that this is really an instant classic. And at least for the time being, Kendrick will be cemented as the king of hip hop. And a couple of years later, he would drop the most commercially successful album that he has had to this point. And damn, With the lead single, Kendrick would have his first #1 in Humble.
You gotta see this.
Which without the context of the album, it sounds like a brag rap, but then in context of the album, you start to realize that Kendrick is talking to himself, because a lot of this album relies around the fact that Kendrick had a lot of expectations going into it. Even at that time, people were calling To Pimp a Butterfly one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time, and all eyes were finally on him, and in my opinion, he delivered. Songs like Loyalty, Love, and especially DNA would become hits.
I got loyalty, got royalty.
And I highlight DNA because what happens at the beat switch is fucking magical. And just to leave another fuck you to that news reporter. I don't know his name, and I could look it up, but I don't want to because it's about principles. The album wraps up with Duckworth, which is this incredible story about how
life is one funny motherfucker. A true comedian, you gotta love
the owner of TDE met Kendrick's dad
and he meets your father. And Top Dog's got a gun. Your dad somehow thinks, I don't want to get into any shit with this guy. I'm going to charm him. I'll even offer him some free KFC. And maybe, right, and maybe he'll, you know, won't get violent. And Top Dog liked your father.
True story.
And did not rob the KFC because of your dad. And now you're working with Top Dog.
Funny, I like it.
2 extra biscuits. Anthony liked them and then let him slide. They didn't kill him.
And then it's revealed with the ending of this track that you can play this album in reverse and still get a story that makes sense. And ever since then, Kendrick has left the hip-hop game. Well, kinda. Although he hasn't dropped an album yet since 2017, he has made appearances in some songs and has even released some songs of his own.
I fight God, just tell me how many burdens left.
Mainly for the Black Panther soundtrack.
Me with that bullshit.
Which was, of course, a pretty big deal. Of course, we're still waiting for a Kendrick Lamar album because people know that whatever he releases will be great. He is, after all, one of the greatest rappers of all time. So with all of this being taken into context, I think it's clear to see why Kendrick Lamar's next album is the most anticipated album in all of music. And with that being wrapped up, I do seriously wonder when the next Kendrick Lamar album will drop. I'm sure it's gonna drop this year, but still, we're all waiting. Anyways, Jay Dilla, take us out, dog.